And welcome back to the Real Sports Repo. I'm with my partner, Dion Johnson. I am Joshua Sears. In this two-part Week 5 wrap-up, the second part of this is going to be very interesting. I'm going to tell you what the Bears need to fix between now and the end of the bye week, and if they fix them, what could happen. And you may be surprised, but for now, we're going to talk about all the games. Are you ready to go?
And in that second part, we'll split that into two, and I will tell you why the Eagles' defense sucks so bad.
That sounds good, and we could do that too. So, are we ready to go?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. All right, the first game we had was the 49ers and the Bucks. 49ers defeated the Bucks 48-3. LeGarrette Blount had 10 carries for 34 yards, and Josh Freeman went 17 of 33, 187 yards. What did you see in this game?
Well, I saw an unbelievably explosive 49er offense. I haven't seen that all year. They've actually looked pretty good. Alex Smith has thrown 7 TDs and only 1 pick. This game, Vernon Davis did have 2 touchdowns. They're getting him a little more involved, which is perfect because they need to keep using him. He's a wide receiver trapped in the tight end's body, so they have to use all of his talents to their benefits at any point. Frank Gore went crazy with his rushing. He had over 100 yards rushing. He had
20 carries, 125 yards, and a touchdown.
Yep, and he had his touchdown there. Another thing that's been proven is on defense. Seems like the 49ers are getting better. These DBs are looking good. Chris Culliver had his first career interception. Congrats to him. Carlos Rogers had a pick 6. And congrats to him for being tied in the league with so many other defensive backs with 3 interceptions this year. Another thing that I did see, and it's been proven this year, you don't run on the 49ers. The front 7 is too solid. LeGarrette Blount, who's been punching everybody in the mouth, rushing for all these weeks, comes against the 49ers and only has 10 carries for 34 yards. No rushing touchdown. And this kid that they drafted in the first round, Aldon Smith, whenever he comes in, he's an impact player. He makes impact plays. This kid had 2 sacks in the game. Justin Smith also had a sack as well. So the 49ers defense is continuing to improve. Their offense obviously has improved. Playing against a young Bucks defense. And they look to go into this next week playing the 5-0 Lions with a full head of steam.
And with that offense, of course, Alex Smith, 11 of 19, 170 yards, 3 touchdowns. Vernon Davis, 3 receptions for 39 yards and 2 touchdowns, only proving the fact that their offense has picked up. Mm-hmm. So the next game we're going to talk about here is the Jets and the Patriots. Patriots defeating the Jets by 9 points, 30-21. Mark Sanchez going 16 of 26 for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sean Green had 21 carries, 83 yards, and a touchdown. Tom Brady on the other side had 24 of 33 with 321 yards and a touchdown. And Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, the law firm, went 27 carries for 136 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wes Welker had 5 receptions for 124 yards. What did you see in this game?
I saw Jets defense is just looking bad, looking even worse. They got to be able to pick it up on D, and their offensive line came back a little bit more solid with Nick Mangold being back in the fold. The Jets lost this game, and that pushes them to a 2-3 record heading into the Monday Night Football game going against the Dolphins. This should be a win, although statistics have proven that the Dolphins have had their number for the last few years, going 3-1 against them in the last 4 years. So hopefully they can pull off a win and get themselves back on the road. Mark Sanchez has said in recent interviews that he believes the Jets will make the playoffs and that they're perfectly fine. This is just a little mishap. It's not going to be a problem. There are problems on that team as far as defense goes. They got to pick it up. They got to be a little bit stronger. The defensive backfield has to be a little bit better, and their front 7 has to stop these guys from rushing all over the place. Because when you let someone get over 100 yards rushing in all of your games, something's going wrong. Somebody's got to fix something. Rex, you got to get on your boys and get them tight. As far as for Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and Wes Welker, the leading receiver in the league, just keep doing what you're doing.
And of course, the Jets playing the Dolphins, they should be able to get a win. While the Patriots go on to play the Dallas Cowboys. That will be interesting as well, but we'll get into that in our pick show. Now, the next game we're going to talk about here is the Eagles and the Bills. Of course, we're going to get more into the Eagles later. But in this game, Vic went 26 of 40 for 315 yards and 2 touchdowns. Um, he passed Randall Cunningham for most rushing yards by a quarterback with 4,948 yards. Fitzpatrick went 21 of 27, 193 yards and a touchdown. Fred Jackson ran for 26 carries, 111 yards and 1 touchdown. And he received for 6 receptions of 85 yards. Now, we'll probably get more into the defense later. Eagles had no picks in this game or in the season. But what did you see in this game?
I just saw the Buffalo Bills do what they've been doing all year long. They played great. They just continue to keep going forward. Fred Jackson is probably one of the best steals that the Buffalo Bills have ever found. The only question I have for the Buffalo Bills is, where's your first-round draft pick a few years ago, C.J. Spiller, out of Clemson? Haven't seen the guy very much. Maybe he'll kick off here, kick off there. But C.J. Spiller was drafted high, and you're paying the guy, you might as well play him. He is dynamic. He does have some skills instead of just return ability. So maybe you should tandem him with Fred Jackson. Just food for thought. But I saw Ryan Fitzpatrick being Ryan Fitzpatrick in this game, doing the same thing he does every game, airing it out, doing what he has to do, getting that ball to Fred Jackson and leading the Buffalo Bills to another victory. On the other side of the ball, well, I don't know. The Eagles have a lot of problems, a lot of issues to fix. Jenkins said in an interview that they don't need to look at their record. They just need to continually work to get better. But the thing is, your record is the reason why you're having to work to get better. In this NFL league, we always want to strive for greatness. We want to strive for perfection. But at the same time, we don't want to be 1-4 at any given moment. Now, it's not that far into the season. We're heading into the second quarter of the season, so they still have a lot of time to be able to pick it up. As long as they're at least 500 by the half of the season, they should be okay. I don't see them not making the playoffs, but this is not a recipe for success in Philadelphia.
No, not at all. And the Eagles have to get it together quick because they're playing the Redskins next. And the Bills move on to play the Giants. Next, we're going to talk about the Chiefs and the Colts. Chiefs defeated the Colts 28-24 in what was an oddly high-scoring game for those two teams. But Matt Castle went 21 of 29, 257 yards, 4 touchdowns. Battle had 19 receptions for 119 yards. And Bo had 7 receptions for 128 yards and 2 TDs. Curtis Painter, however, went 15 of 27, 277 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brown had 8 carries for 38 yards. And Garcon had 5 receptions for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, if you can make sense of everything I just said, why don't you explain it to me?
Well, I see the Chiefs on a roll. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They beat the Vikings last week. They come in and they beat the Colts this week. So Matt Castle seemed to have found got his groove back. Dwayne Bowe is always going over there and doing his thing, receiving to catch touchdowns. And they seem to be doing somewhat okay on the rushing side of the ball. Not very good, missing Jamal Charles heavily. Thomas Jones and Dexter McCluster are doing an okay job. They're not really producing as much as Jamal Charles would have, but they're doing all right. On the other side of the football, Indianapolis Colts GM came out and publicly said that if they go and they've got the first pick in the draft next year, they will draft Andrew Luck. Now, this is a scary situation for any NFL team because you don't want Luck sitting behind somebody like Peyton Manning for 2 or 3 years because then he's groomed. Luck's already almost perfect for the NFL, as everyone has predicted, as I completely understand, being a Pac-10 guy myself, Pac-12, I'm sorry, loving that conference. But you sit him behind somebody like Peyton Manning, who is a studier of the game, who hogs every bit of film tape that he can find who has picked apart defenses for years and continually, gradually won and move forward, you're going to have a scary sight in Andrew Luck if you wind up seeing this guy hit the field after sitting behind Peyton Manning. Just think of this. Look where Aaron Rodgers is at, and look who he sat behind.
Yep. And we might as well call that the Aaron Rodgers effect. And we are in Pac-12 country, by the way, as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on here, we're going to talk about the Vikings and the Cardinals. Vikings defeated the Cardinals 34-10. Kevin Cobb went 21 of 42 for 232 yards. Beanie Wells went 20 rushes for 60 yards and a touchdown. Early Doucette had 8 receptions for 92 yards. Donovan went 10 of 21 for 169 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. AP was AP, 29 carries, 122 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Devin Aromashadu had 2 receptions for 81 yards. What did you like in this game? What didn't you like?
What I don't like right now, even living in Arizona and seeing all these Cardinal fans, I don't like Kevin Cobb right now. He's not giving me anything. He's not showing me much. His number one target as of late is Early Doucette. You have Larry Fitzgerald and your number one target is Early Doucette. Nothing against the kid. Great kid. Been coming on a little bit stronger since he was drafted a few years back. In recent years, he hasn't done much. But you got to get the ball to Larry Fitzgerald somehow. What I do like is Beanie Wells going out there beasting it like he has been. He's been producing. He's doing a lot better as the number one back. It seems like when they got rid of Hightower, Wells said, well, now you gave me the opening. I'm going to take it and run with it. And he has been doing that. On the other side of the ball, they got smart. They listened to all us critics, and they handed the ball to Adrian Peterson. Thank you. Because AP is the focal point of this offense. He is that good. He will continue to produce for them. And get them a lot of yardage, although Donovan McNabb seems to be a little rattled for a change, kind of a little hesitant on this talk of Christian Ponder starting. Well, McNabb, newsflash, you're not the future for the Minnesota Vikings, so if anything, they're going to ask you to groom him eventually. So you might want to get used to hearing about Christian Ponder, unless they decide to draft somebody else next year. But for now, the Vikings look okay. And hopefully they can keep rolling. Going into next week, the Vikings will have to go against the Chicago Bears. And for the Cardinals, it's a bye. So maybe they got a little bit of time to figure out why Larry Fitzgerald isn't getting the ball.
Pondering about Ponder. Next game we're going to talk about is the Seattle Seahawks and the G-Men. The Seahawks won that game 36-25. Seahawks moving up to 2-3, while the Giants fall to 3-2. Jackson had 15 receptions for 22. Jackson went 15 of 22 with 166 yards and a touchdown. Lynch had 12 carries for 98 yards and 1 touchdown. Baldwin, the rookie, had 136 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. Whitehurst went 11 of 19, 149 yards and a touchdown. And for the Giants, Eli Manning went 24 of 39, 420 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. Cruz had 8 receptions for 161 yards and a TD. Ballard had 1 TD, and Nix had 1 TD. Again, please put it in English for him.
To put it in plain and simple English,
You got 1 minute.
Giants lost this game due to Eli throwing picks. This kid Baldwin for Seattle's coming on strong as a good little rookie for you fantasy football players. He's a good pickup. He's going to get you a nice little small amount of points. So is Victor Cruz. But the Giants just lost this game due to Eli throwing his picks. Marshawn Lynch looked okay. But at the same time, the Giants' running game was non-existent. Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs are doing nothing. There's no more earth, wind, and fire. It's just earth and wind, and the fire is gone. And it seems like they took all the earth and wind out of everything. But join us for the second half of this wrap-up in about a few minutes. We are done with the first part of the show. and we'll see you in a minute.
Yep.